My name is Amara, and this is a story I never thought I'd tell. A story about love, betrayal, and the fragile threads that hold families together. It all began on a chilly December evening. The sky outside was a canvas of dull gray, with clouds heavy with the promise of snow. My family had gathered at our ancestral home for the holidays. Our parents were away on a trip, leaving me and my two older brothers, Zayan and Romy, alone in the house we'd grown up in. Romy, the eldest, was the golden boy of the family. Charming, successful, and seemingly perfect. Zayan, on the other hand, was the rebel, always walking the line between trouble and brilliance. And me. I was the glue that held our fractured family together. The house was eerily quiet that night, except for the crackling of the fire in the living room. We had just finished dinner and were sitting around the table, reminiscing about childhood memories. But beneath the laughter and nostalgia, there was an undercurrent of tension I couldn't quite place. As the clock struck midnight, Zayan broke the silence. "There's something I need to say," he began, his voice heavy with emotion. "Something I've been keeping from both of you." Romy and I exchanged puzzled glances. Zayan rarely opened up, let alone about something serious. "I've been seeing someone," he continued, his eyes flickering between us. "Someone close to this family." My heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean, close to this family?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Zayan hesitated, and then the words tumbled out. "It's Zara, Romy's fiancée." The room fell into a suffocating silence. Romy's face turned ashen, his hands clenching into fists. "You're joking," he said, his voice low and dangerous, but Zayan shook his head, his eyes filled with guilt. "I'm not. It started months ago. I didn't mean for it to happen, but I fell in love with her." Romy stood abruptly, his chair screeching against the wooden floor. "You're telling me you've been sneaking around with the woman I'm supposed to marry? How could you do this to me, Zayan? To us?" I could feel the tension in the room rising like a storm about to break. "Wait," I interjected, trying to calm them down. "We need to talk about this rationally." "Rationally?" Romy snapped, turning to me. "Our brother betrayed me, Amara. What's rational about that?" Zayan stood too, his expression one of defiance and regret. "I didn't plan for this to happen, Romy. But it did. And I'm not going to apologize for loving her." The argument escalated, voices clashing and emotions running high. I felt like I was caught in the middle of a battlefield, torn between two people I loved deeply. In the midst of the chaos, Romy dropped another bombshell. "You think you're the only one with secrets, Zayan? Think again." Both Zayan and I froze, our attention now fully on Romy. "What are you talking about?" Zayan asked, his voice wary. Romy let out a bitter laugh. "Zara isn't who you think she is. She's been lying to both of us. She's not just my fiancée, she's also my ex-wife." The room spun around me as I tried to process what I'd just heard. "What? How is that even possible?" I asked, my voice trembling. Romy explained, his words sharp and laced with anger. "We got married years ago, but it didn't work out. We kept it a secret from everyone, even you, Amara. I thought I could move past it, but clearly she couldn't." Zayan's face twisted in disbelief. "You're lying. She would have told me if that were true. Would she?" Romy shot back. "She's been playing both of us, Zayan. And you fell for it like a fool." The argument spiraled further out of control, with accusations and insults flying across the room. I tried to intervene, but my words were drowned out by their shouting. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "Enough!" I screamed, my voice echoing through the house. Both of them fell silent, turning to look at me. "This isn't just about Zara," I said, my voice shaking. "This is about us. About how we've let our insecurities and secrets tear us apart. We're supposed to be family, but right now, we're acting like enemies." Tears streamed down my face as I spoke, and for a moment, the tension in the room eased. But the damage had already been done. The next morning, the house was eerily quiet. Romy packed his things and left without saying goodbye. Zayan retreated to his room, his guilt and heartbreak palpable. As for me, I was left to pick up the pieces of our shattered family. I couldn't look at either of them the same way again. The bond we once shared had been irrevocably broken. Zara's betrayal had exposed not just the cracks in our relationships but also the hidden wounds we'd been carrying for years. It's been years since that fateful night, but the memories still haunt me. Our family was never the same after what happened. Romy moved abroad, and Zayan threw himself into his work, trying to forget. As for me, I learned a painful truth that night. Sometimes, the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. And while time may heal some wounds, others leave scars that never truly fade. The days following that night were the hardest. The once lively home that echoed with laughter now felt like a hollow shell. I wandered from room to room, replaying the confrontation over and over. Zayan avoided me. He spent most of his time in the study, nursing a bottle of whiskey and staring blankly at the walls. He had always been the dreamer, the one with boundless energy and ambition. But now, he looked defeated, like a shadow of himself. Romy didn't even bother to explain his sudden departure. I learned through a family friend that he had flown to London, cutting off all contact. My chest tightened every time I thought about him. He was my protector growing up, my rock. But now he was gone, leaving me alone to face the ruins of our family. I couldn't stop thinking about Zara. Who was this woman who had come into our lives and torn us apart? I had always found her kind and poised, a perfect match for Romy. But now, I saw her as a manipulator, a puppet master pulling strings I hadn't even known existed. I decided to confront her. I needed answers. Zara agreed to meet me at a cafe in the city. She looked the same as always, immaculately dressed, her face a picture of calm. But as I sat across from her, I saw cracks in her composure. Her hands trembled slightly as she sipped her coffee. "Why?" I asked, my voice cold. "Why would you do this to us?" she sighed, setting her cup down. "It's not as simple as you think, Amara." "Then make me understand," I said, my tone sharp. She hesitated, then began to speak. "Romy and we loved each other once. But our marriage was a disaster. He was controlling, distant, and obsessed with his image. I felt like I was suffocating. When we divorced, I thought I could move on. But then I met Zayan. He made me feel alive again, like I mattered." Her words stung. "So you thought it was okay to betray him? To betray all of us?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I loved them both, Amara. But love isn't always clean or easy." Her confession left me feeling hollow. I didn't know who to believe anymore. Weeks turned into months. I threw myself into work, trying to distract myself from the mess that had become my life. But the wound remained fresh, a constant ache in my chest. Then one day, Romy came back. It was a rainy afternoon when I heard the knock on the door. I opened it to find him standing there, soaked to the bone, his eyes filled with a mix of anger,